Here's somebody who decided to, I guess, give Jeff a hard time.
It's the lady in red.
Yeah,
I remember her. She comes walking by, waggling her finger, going, "You won't accomplish anything because God's going to roll over everything." And so I asked her, "Does that mean the plan is that your religion is going to take over our country?" And she says, "Why, I think that would be a wonderful thing." So I go, "Well, after that, are you going to take atheists like me and throw us in prison?" To which she responded, "I don't put people in prison. God does." Which I took as a yes. It's a yes, after Christianity takes over the United States, you will be throwing people in prison. You just won't be taking personal responsibility for it.
Well, have they taken personal responsibility for anything?
No, I kind of think their religion is about avoiding personal responsibility. But then I tried to explain to her that atheists and Christians alike have equal rights in this nation, to which she responded with the craziest thing that she said, which was, "You don't have the same rights as me because I went to Harvard and you can't do that without believing in God." And I wasn't aware that Harvard had a God oath requirement for
I wasn't
membership.
either. But with logic like that, I just can't believe she came from Harvard.
Yeah, well, yeah, well, that was kind of fun. It's not a question, though, of how many warm bodies you have on each side of the issue. The question is, what does the Constitution say? Because the Constitution is the government which says it doesn't matter if you're in a majority, you still can't walk over all over the rights of minorities. That's its job.
Definitely. All right.
That was a hoot. We didn't talk about the Man in Blue.
Well, yeah, I wasn't there for all of the Man in Blue things. I'm fine with it. We were actually down right in front of Congress Street for the majority of the protest, and there were a couple times where a few of us grabbed our signs and walked up top to where the service was going on, because that's what it was, and just quietly did a lap and came back around. And at one time I was actually stopped by a man who asked me, "Don't you think that's a little obnoxious?" And I was curious as to what he thought was obnoxious, because we hadn't actually said anything or come up while they were praying, or tried to make any fuss at all. We just walked up with our signs and walked right back down, and he stopped me over it. And I asked him, why would you think that's obnoxious? And he felt that because they had pre-planned to be there, anybody who showed up to object to this was being obnoxious. And I said, well, if you think I'm a little obnoxious when I feel that my rights may be in danger, that's something I can live with. Evidently somebody else talked to him further, and there may have been, I don't know, some threat of knocking your block off by him towards one of our members. But he was, much like the rest of Earth, according to Douglas Adams, mostly harmless.
But that wasn't the guy in blue, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Was that the same guy?
Yeah, I believe it's the same guy who grabbed a sign and ran off.
So, well, here's what I heard about it. Just as I arrived at the protest, there was some chuckling going on amongst our protesters, saying some guy had just walked up and called us kooks. And about 15 minutes later, I was nudged by an elbow and somebody pointed, and across the street there's this guy in what I can only describe as a light blue leisure suit, stalking up and down the sidewalk on the other side of the street. And they said, "That's the guy. That's the guy that called us a kook." And I'm thinking, yeah, he's stewing over there. He's upset that we're voicing our legal right to object to how they're abusing our government, and he's stewing and trying to think of a better line than "you're all kooks." So a little time later, one of us who carried a sign up toward the big religious festival on the Capitol steps, he suddenly gets a sign yanked away from him by a guy who he later describes as wearing a light blue suit. We assume it's the same guy. He didn't think of a better line. He came and stole one of our signs. So, congratulations, dude. You've got a nice little trophy now.
But yeah, one of our members chased him up trying to get the sign back. But, if you're going to steal private property, I guess a church service is as good a time as any to do it.